You don't have orange juice in your house, do you?
I don't.
That's okay.
That's not true. We do, but I'm not gonna drink orange juice.
Okay.
It's a convenient lie.
Well,
In fact, there's no oranges in the county.
I think we should just start off the podcast from here. I kind of like this casual, carefree, possibly interpreted as lazy, but very real way of
Casual,
starting things off.
carefree, communist.
Not communist. What are you talking about? You want to get us shut
Well,
down?
it might be communist.
You want to get us shut down, Michael?
We're comrades.
We're not communist. We're not.
I said we're comrades.
We are comrades. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
that's exactly what I said.
Well, okay. So for those of you who are watching, guys, this is not a traditional opening for the OJ podcast, and the reason being is that we're interviewing my dear brother, Michael BAGHERPOUR, who is just as much a weirdo as I am in every way. And Michael, welcome to the OJ podcast.
Thank you.
This would have been so
Glad
much
to be
cooler
here.
if you had had orange juice.
You didn't tell me the name of the podcast or even
Don't
the
you know?
concept.
I didn't. Oh yeah, I didn't do a very good job of communicating. That's okay. It's okay. Next time.
Are we not talking about like OJ Simpson? Is that, I thought that was
Definitely
the whole
not
thing.
talking about OJ Simpson.
I memorized so many OJ Simpson facts.
Well, thank you for coming prepared. The
No problem.
one thing you could have been prepared with, you don't have, but it's okay.
OJ.
For anybody listening, that's the secret. This is called the OJ podcast because the first episode we made, we were drinking orange juice. No other deeper purpose than that. Yep.
Nice.
But yeah, and I just realized I set up my camera. Dang it! The camera that I'm looking at you with is over here, and the camera that I'm looking at. Oh man, I'm wasting time on this podcast. Okay, yeah. So basically, when I'm looking at you, I'm looking at this screen, but the camera's over here. Does that make sense, Michael?
Yeah, I see. Honestly,
Okay.
though, it's probably fine. Well, I don't know. I think it's fine. Up to
Yeah,
you.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Anyway, these are the things that we have to face in the modern world. How do we properly communicate using technology, all this stuff? And that's something that Michael knows how to do very well because he's an engineer. So without further ado, let's get into the story of how Michael came into being. Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I guess I am an engineer. Engineers are not usually known for being great at communicating, but
No.
yeah, and I think I'm probably not the exception. But no, yeah, I'm an engineer. We grew up in Turkey. I don't know. I'm pretty weird. Probably weird in a lot of the same ways as Daniel's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like surfing.
Okay.
Recently getting into sports, rock
Mhm.
climbing, skateboarding.
Yep. Surfing is good. What about your traumatic childhood?
Yes. It all began. No, I think parts of our childhood were difficult, at least.
Sure.
Probably fair to say traumatic, but yeah. Okay, so we lived in California till we were 5. We moved to Turkey, or till I was 5. Sorry, I don't remember Daniel Andrew's age, but I was 5 when we moved to Turkey.
9
What are you,
ish.
9? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we were in Turkey from when I was 5 to I think barely 15.
Okay.
Just shy of 10 years.
Yep.
And then that was actually like, okay, so moving to Turkey was definitely a big, uprooting. But being in Turkey was pretty good. Like, it was pretty fun.
Oh yeah.
The only downside is your friends move away like every 3 or 4 years, if you're going to an international school. Because
Right.
yeah, nobody stays at those schools for very long, generally.
Yeah, because they're either military, embassy, or refugee, right? And then they would just
Yeah, or like
cycle
missionary
through. Or
kids.
missionary kids, like all those people, they
Yeah.
just cycle through.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that wasn't so bad, honestly. I mean, it was hard to say goodbye to friends every 4 years, for sure. You don't, you make good friends and then they kind of disappear.
Right.
And then we moved back to the States when Daniel went to college.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was for me the most difficult. Kind of the following years were the most difficult years.
Yeah.
First, moving from Turkey to the States was a big transition. And I really loved Turkey. I legitimately, I thought I was going to become Turkish. I was going to go do their mandatory military service and
Wow.
live there forever.
It's pretty amazing. You've always been very loyal because I think the first question people asked you when we went to Turkey before, you were like, "What's the first thing you're gonna do when you get to Turkey?" You're like, "Find a way to get back."
Yeah, that's true. I
And
didn't
then,
want to leave America when we left America. And I didn't want to leave Turkey when we left
and then
Turkey.
yeah,
Yeah.
you were America's greatest citizen, then you became America's strongest defector.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And then
Yeah.
miraculously, now you're America's greatest citizen again. You're like, I like it here.
Am I?
Yeah. You're the one
I
who's
have a
like,
lot of
I'm moving back to California, which is like,
that. Yeah, but that's not like I'm not like. Well, okay, I do like California a lot, but I have like a lot of Turkish pride still. I irrationally
yeah, I
probably.
guess,
Yeah, we're not really Turkish,
I
but
do a little bit too. It's part of being a
yeah,
TCK, third culture kid
like
for any of you
it's
who are ignorant out there.
yeah, it's weird when like ISIS was like, we want terrorism, and you're like, no, and they're like, we want like religious law, and you're like, no, and they're like, we want the Ottoman Empire again, and you're like, oh, maybe, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. You're like,
You got me there.
you
Like,
got me there. Ottoman
tell me
Empire, that's
more.
not cool. I
Yeah,
would like to have a nice mustache and
yeah,
muskets. That'd be kind of cool.
dude, it
But
was cool.
yeah, all the other stuff is like, no, 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 that's a bad idea. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Just to specify, because we don't want to be targeted these days.
It's a
in case
dangerous.
in case the government's listening, please know that we love America.
Please leave us alone.
It's like, please
Yeah.
no. but but yeah, we always joked about that too. Do you remember? Like, I mean, I used to joke with that my friends all the time. It's like, oh no, like we talked about the wrong topic. Like, he's like pretending your Skype call you got killed because you mentioned the
Yeah.
wrong word. But
I
that's
don't think I
something
did many
because you're
Skype calls,
also
but
you're Middle Eastern and white, right? Like Iranian American.
yeah, it's definitely okay. So it's I think it's probably been a lot easier for me in the States than for like Daniel. I mean, I don't
Way
know
to play the
how
white
hard you.
privilege, whatever card.
Well, I'm just saying like I'm very like white passing, right? People just assume I'm like super white, which is totally in my favor in the States.
In some
Um,
places, these days it's sometimes tricky.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to be in the wrong place.
Yeah.
As a general rule to anybody, I guess.
You don't want to be in the
Yeah.
wrong place.
The trick to succeeding in life is never failing. That's the trick.
Yeah. But no, tell us about it. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have cut you off. It's really interesting to me here. Like, what's been your experience as a mixed race kid here in America who looks just completely white, you know?
Yeah, no, like I mean it's been pretty easy, honestly, that part I'd say. Like people just treat you normally. Okay, the only weird thing is like when we first moved back to the States, I had this really weird
Oh,
accent.
yes.
It
Tell
wasn't
us about that.
yeah, so it wasn't quite a Turkish accent because my best friends were Korean and British people. And then but I did also like speak a lot of Turkish, so I probably had a little bit of a Turkish accent. But it was really weird. And people would think that I had like some developmental problem or difficulties. And that was, I mean, that was like, kind of weird. But then the worst one was when I started to be slightly more normal. I was like learning social cues and stuff. I was able to interact with people. And then every once in a while they'd be like, why do you pretend to have an Australian accent? Or like
An
something like that.
Australian accent.
Yeah. And I was
Why do you
like, first of
pretend?
all, this is not Australian. I do a way
I've
better
been,
Australian
yeah,
accent than
yeah, I
this
can
if
do
I
a way
wanted
better.
to. Yeah.
Mate. It's like,
Yeah. Like,
so stop getting under my skin. I.
yeah, but it was weird. Like there were a few people that I weirded out enough that they decided they didn't want to be friends with the kid that was faking an accent.
Dude, that's so
Um,
funny. And
it's strange.
for those people who have not heard a Korean, an English, or a Turkish accent, can you give us a word in each of those dialects and languages to give them a
No,
demonstration?
no, I cannot.
Okay,
I can give you some words in Turkish,
okay, give us a Turkish word.
like nasılsın, iyi misin?
Okay, how are you? Are you good? And then Korean, hajima, 안녕하세요,
We don't speak Korean. This is.
oma and appa. Those are words. Those
Okay.
are words. We don't speak Korean. Yes.
Are they pronounced correctly? Who knows?
Yes, they're pronounced correctly.
Not us.
We're not Korean, but we can still pronounce them somewhat
Okay,
close.
maybe.
They used to say hajima all the time, but I say it like an American. But hajima, oma,
You might
appa.
be right. I don't know.
It just means like mom, dad. So that's the accent he was combining with Turkish, which is like nasılsın, merhaba, iyi misin? And then a British accent, which you guys all have heard a British accent before, but just for fun. This is some nice orange juice. And you do the pinky thing. So he was a certified weirdo.
Oh yeah.
And then nobody wanted to be friends with you. Except Randy.
Except Randy. No, yeah. So that's true. Well,
He could play Super Smash with his feet. They all saw that in last episode. Yeah,
oh, they already
we
know
talked
this.
about
Okay.
that. So
I was saying you're jumping into the backstory real fast.
oh yeah. Okay, so continue. So
No, you're good though.
you made some friends.
Um, well, we moved a ton. So we moved to Flagstaff, basically close to where Daniel went to college.
Yeah.
And I made some friends there, but I was really not good at interacting with like humans. And then
I
the
don't
year
think we ever
after,
have
the
been.
next year,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I think I've gotten a lot better though. But I mean, how would I know? I don't know. It's hard to tell.
it's not like you take
Um,
a yearly human interactions assessment.
yeah, yeah. Without any external feedback, who knows?
Yeah.
Um, but then we moved. We moved a year, like 12 months later. We moved to Hemet, to California,
Mm.
and so like broke off those friendships again. Started over again. Was the weird kid and really didn't get any better at being less weird.
Mm.
Saying goodbye to friends every year is not really good for that. And
No.
then we moved. Like 16 months later, we moved to South Dakota in the middle of my senior year. And then I think that was like peak weird, probably. I was the strangest kid in South Dakota.
Peak
like
weirdness was
for,
then.
for that good 6-7 month, half a year. Yeah. And then we moved back to I moved back to California for college, basically, because I had applied to college while we were in California.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I'd say at end of freshman year is probably when kind of the like quote unquote bad years like ended. I'd say that was like really hard for me, going from Turkey to Flagstaff to Hemet to South Dakota, and then
Three
back
different high
to
schools. You attended three
California.
different high schools, right?
4 high schools, because Oasis as
Four
well
high
was
schools.
a high school year,
So
right?
pretty much our parents were like,
Yeah,
we're
4
gonna
high
make sure
schools.
this kid's messed up. It's like, let's do
pretty
everything
bad,
possible
honestly.
to
Yeah.
make sure he does not succeed.
To be clear though, it wasn't their fault. Like
No, it wasn't.
we moved back, and that was like, was it 2007 or 2008 or something? It was like the worst time to decide to move back to the States. Like we moved back, and then it was like recession.
Yeah.
And we couldn't find
It was
a
2010.
good job.
The
for,
recession
like
was
3 or
in
4 years.
2008. But yeah,
Okay.
it was like
we
still
moved back
recovering
right
though.
after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's a good thing that we're in 2023. I used to think 2023 sucked, but now reliving the past, I'm like, you know what? I'm ready for. I think I'm ready for 2050. I could probably handle
things
that.
improve. I mean, I feel like different things get some areas get worse and some areas get better. But it kind of depends on what matters to you. On net, definitely things can improve.
As long as you're in the place where it's better for white people, you'll be okay. Just kidding.
Me personally,
Some
yeah.
areas get worse, some areas get better. Just kidding. It's like,
That's
we
true.
like to joke about this, guys. Please don't take any offense. If you do, you're a jerk. But no, this is part of our twisted sense of humor, as third cultural, mixed race, confused kids. So take it with a grain of salt. Please don't be offended.
Actually, I was telling friends at work. So like when we moved back to the States,
Yeah.
well, okay. So me and Daniel and Andrew were always kind of weird. We used to like just tell lies to each other. You just do that to your siblings. I think that's kind of normal. It was just fun, right?
Yeah.
But we kind of took that further. We would tell lies now to like people we would meet or like really strangers.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't like lies to harm them. It also really wasn't. There wasn't like a punchline for them. They never, found out about the joke. It was just that we thought it was funny. Like we would tell them, oh yeah, we're siblings, but one of us is adopted, and oh, it's Andrew. Like instead of it being Daniel.
Yeah.
Everybody expected it to be Daniel, right?
Yeah.
Messed up things like that. But then when we were in high school, I did this to my classmates as well. I don't know if I told you this, but I was doing that to my classmates, just like gaslighting, just like telling them lies for no reason.
Just for fun.
Just for fun.
Yeah, my
And
dad.
there wasn't anybody to laugh at them with me except
Really?
me. Yeah.
The reason for my British
bad.
accent is my dad is MI6.
Yeah, just stupid things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've gotten better at that too. I think I don't compulsively lie anymore.
Yeah.
But I did have to like consciously stop. Yeah.
Wow. So it was becoming a habit. You were like, screw this. I'm gonna have a little fun with these people who are misjudging me.
It was just fun. I mean, you don't see them again. I would only see them for a year, not even a year, right? 'Cause it's a school year. You'd see them for like 9 months.
I guess.
So it's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah.
Me and
for
one of my friends did that once in college. We just walked around campus with a British accent and told everybody we were from England. And then we ran into some real English people and we were in trouble.
Did they call you out?
I think we were just all right. Okay, we're not from England. we give up.
Just immediately. Oh my goodness.
This is going nowhere real fast.
You should have like called them out. You should be like, you guys are obviously fakers.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's such a bad
You're not
accent.
from Yorkshire. How absurd is that? You're arguing with nationals of a country to prove whether or not they're nationals.
Isn't that funny though? It'd be so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually something that happens. Like it happened to me when I was going through immigration in Turkey, right? Or whatever. They were like,
Yeah.
we don't believe you're American or whatever. It was Turks. It wasn't the Americans who were questioning me. It was Turks who were like, why are you leaving the country? I was like, because that's my mom and that's my dad. And they're leaving the
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
can't you see the resemblance? And they're like,
Didn't they ask you? I think I remember a lady at the like at the gate of the airline or whatever being like, "Where is the bomb?"
oh yeah, she asked me where the bomb was or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't understand. Like, I don't even know how to do that stuff. Sorry. I'm only half Middle Eastern. It's like
Oh no! Oh no!
too low,
We
too
didn't.
low.
They didn't teach us that
They
yet.
didn't teach us that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should know where the bomb is. Yeah.
Oh no!
But yeah, man, it was like it's weird. It was a weird time to be Middle Eastern too, right? Because like 2000 to 2000, well, 23, Middle East has posed a real threat to everybody. It's like
Yeah, not
Iran
great.
is like the one kid at the party who's got fireworks. He's like, woohoo! Like you're like, no, please, like put those fireworks away. It's like, you
Yeah.
know, and being of all the countries we could have been from, we're half Iranian. So it's kind of like, well, luck of the draw.
I mean, it could have been worse. Could it, I think Iraqi might be harder.
Iraqi, yeah, our friends who were Iraqi really suffered. It was not comfortable for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Afghani. We could have been Afghans. That would have been hard too.
Yeah.
But did you ever experience prejudice? I mean, either way.
I think. Yeah. I mean, probably. I would guess that everybody experiences some form of some kind of prejudice.
Yeah.
I probably experience a lot less than other people, but
Okay.
in the States, I haven't felt it much.
Yeah.
In Turkey, sometimes it would be like a little bit weird. Like when we get in a taxi, they would ask Daniel, like, well, Daniel looks like Middle Eastern, he looks like Turkish, right? So he'd get in the taxi, and usually he would, I don't know why you'd always sit up front, but you would. And then the taxi driver would
Because
be
that was the
like, "Where are
oldest.
you taking these
Middle Eastern
foreigners?"
tradition. Oldest
I
is up
mean,
front.
but like I guess mom didn't want to sit next to the taxi driver. But they would
That was
ask,
the oldest
didn't they
male.
ask you?
Remember,
The oldest
Michael?
male, yeah.
We're patriarchal
That's
and
true,
we
it's
are
true, it's true.
we are ageist or whatever. Everything America likes in a man, we are not. It's like
Oh no.
we're it's like unfortunately.
We don't have to be that way.
Well,
But no,
yeah.
there's some tradition there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I remember, didn't they would like speak to you in Turkish and they'd be like, "Where are you taking these foreigners?" And we'd be in the back and I'd be like, "I understand like what you're saying." Like,
I take offense to that.
yeah, it was like, dude, like I speak as good Turkish as Daniel does.
Yeah,
As
you,
good
you
Turkish, but
spoke
not as
better
good
at one
English,
point,
obviously.
especially when you were that British
At
Turkish
one
kid.
point. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But no, I think that was probably where I felt out of place, where I'd feel like treated differently, right?
Mm.
In the States, I don't have that very often. I just look like white. So
Yeah, you could be like John or Michael or
it
Ken.
could be Michael.
You could be a Ken. You are Michael.
But yeah, they just treat you like the default,
Yeah,
honestly. They treat you
default.
like the default. So
Yep.
yeah,
John Wick
John Wick.
or James. You fit in. You can blend in. You're a perfect
Yeah.
gray man, here. Over there you were not.
Maybe.
Over there you were like
Oh, you know what else though?
the
Okay,
exception.
maybe some other times I was weird. I did dress really oddly. I still dress
yes, you
oddly. And at one time, I was growing out my hair. I wanted to just see how long I could grow it, basically.
yeah.
And I started wearing a bandana
Oh.
with like chili peppers on it, which
Yeah.
Daniel gave to me actually.
Yeah, I gave it to you. I used
Yeah,
to
it
wear
was
that
cool.
same bandana with long hair,
I
yeah.
thought it was cool.
And then what?
People, well, I looked weird. I thought I looked
Like
I don't know,
me.
like unique, interesting.
Yeah, you looked unique.
But I found out, I think she got a lab position. She got a position in a lab,
Yes.
and when she left that lab, so our really good friend. She's kind of like a sister.
Yeah.
When she left that, she went to college with me as well. Sorry, ton of background. I went to college with her. She was in a lab.
Just don't put
and,
too much information about people that if they don't want to be mentioned though.
That's fair, yeah.
So we'll
But when
bleep
she
out her
left
name.
that lab,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. When she left that lab,
Yeah.
she her advisor told her, "Hey, I'm really proud of how you're always taking out that homeless guy to lunch." And he was talking about me. I was wearing the bandana, and I guess I
Yes.
looked really rough. I looked like
Homeless.
homeless. Yeah,
Wow.
but I mean, maybe I was treated weirdly. I wasn't even aware of it at that time.
So yeah, you faced prejudice just for how you dressed.
Yeah, I mean, if you dress really poorly, people treat you differently.
I've
for sure.
experienced that too,
I
man.
definitely,
It's so stupid.
yeah.
Yeah,
People, there's like
I
people,
hate
people say
that.
like quote unquote pretty privilege. Yeah.
Dude, it's for real. It's for reals. And unfortunately, we never get it. I'm just kidding.
It's what it's like to be born ugly. What can I say?
Get hit by the ugly stick.
With a nose like ours.
No, no.
Yeah.
Actually, I think we're quite handsome.
Mom always used to say that.
Yeah, mom's right.
What other data point do you need?
Yep. Mother knows best.
Amen.
But so so long story short, you were raised overseas. You came back to the States. You bumped around high schools because of your parents, and then you graduate. You're like, hey, I'm going to make some stability for myself. That's kind of what I wanted to focus on today. Is how did you build from a life of chaos, really, in a lot of ways. And there were some points that were stable, like you were brought up in a conservative Christian household where you believed in God, right? You were taught about God.
Mm-hmm,
Your parents never divorced, so you had the stability of having a father and a mother who loved each other and loved you, right?
mm-hmm.
But you had like all these moving parts around you, and your life was one of those moving parts as well. And you were like, hang on, like I'm going to commit to staying. You were the most stable out of all of us brothers. You're like, I'm going to stay in the same state for the foreseeable future. You know?
For a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was an intentional choice, to be honest, but I do think that's true in retrospect. I stayed put for a long, long time. But really what happened was I went to college. The first year was kind of rough, but I enjoyed it. I started enjoying it more and more as time went on. I loved taking classes. I found a group of friends that were pretty weird. We fit in well with each other.
Yeah, man.
We hung out a lot. And I just didn't want to leave, so I took a 5th year as well. So I just basically stayed around and took more classes. And then as the 5th year was wrapping up, I was like, I still don't want to leave. So then I applied to do a master's at the same school. And I stayed around for 2 more years for the master's, when really the master's could have been 1 year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just refused to move, basically is what happened. I just stayed for as long as I could. And then it was 7 years of school there. And then I got a job in the middle of COVID. And because it was during COVID, I could work remotely. So I stayed again for another like year, maybe year and a half.
Yeah.
And even now I come back to San Diego like all the time. Yeah, I think really just refusing to move is what made that for me. Like I don't think it was necessarily, I didn't plan to be here for like 10 years. But every additional year seemed like a good decision, right? I always wanted to do 1 more year. And I'm kind of still there.
Yeah. 1 more year.
Yeah.
So is it sort of that like just eat the elephant one slice at a time kind of a thing? It's like, you know what? Like this moment kind of sucks, but if I can just make it to the next year, it might be better. You know?
I think so. Yeah. Also, like getting over that first period of this moment kind of sucks. That's like key, right? For me, I think everything I do, it pretty much takes 2 years before I'm like, this is okay. Like I can do this.
Yeah.
The first 2 years are not fun.
Right. That's why I always quit in the first 2 years.
It's the hardest time.
Yeah.
But the thing is, after, if it's not everything, right? Not everything is a good fit. But the things that are a good fit, I realize after the fact, right? Like, the first year of college was not particularly fun. But like 3rd, 4th, and 5th year were really fun, right? Like it got really good. Like
that's good.
Really, really fun. Yeah, and I mean, masters was good too. And then when I was like TAing, I like worked with a professor. I started out tutoring, so just like basically helping students on the side outside of class. The first year I was only doing it for the money. I was like, it wasn't that much fun, right?
Yeah.
But then the second year I got the opportunity to actually be a teaching assistant. You get like some more responsibilities. You get to kind of design the course homeworks a little bit.
Yeah.
Occasionally you get to be a part of a lecture, and that was also hard. It was like a lot of learning curve, but it was kind of fun. And then the 3rd and 4th year, I just continued TAing. That was really fun then. Like just getting over that hump.
Yeah. So would that be your advice to like other young people who are trying to find like peace in their chaotic world? Like just try to stick it out, play the long game. Don't be too bent out of shape if the first year things aren't going exactly as planned.
Definitely. Actually, yeah, I think that's really good advice. There are some things that are not going to work out. Like, yeah, if you can look in the future and see that it's not for you, that long term it won't work out, I think you should just leave as soon as you can. Okay. So like if you're in an abusive relationship, that's probably not going to be okay for you, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line.
Right.
That's the kind of thing that I would, jump ship as soon as possible. But if you're looking at something and being like, do I really want to be a welder? Like school is so hard and finding work is really hard and like I have to do this apprenticeship, like they don't even pay me very much.
Yeah.
Your pay goes up and you make a name for yourself, you get recognition, you find coworkers you like, you make a life for yourself, and it gets better, right?
Yeah.
It gets easier.
It does get easier.
Yeah, I think, and that's probably true. A lot of things in life are better long term, right?
I mean, look at
Planning for the short term
Look at marriage.
doesn't get you very far.
Yeah, look at
Yeah.
marriage, right?
Yeah.
You see the people who are going through like their fifth marriage because they just keep giving up. But then you see the people who are like 80 years old and still holding hands, and you're like, wow, how did they do that? Right? Well, they said, we're making a commitment. Whether they're religious or not, they're like, we're making a commitment. We're going to stick to it. And over time, that investment, that relationship becomes sweet, right?
Yeah.
So you can have a
And
similar
relationships are work too, just as you're saying.
yeah, relationships at work too. So you can have a similar relationship with your work, right? In a way.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
I think my current job, the first year, what is it now? It's been almost 3 years now. The first 2 years were really hard, kind of the same thing. Maybe first year and a half.
Mm.
But it's been getting better, not worse, since like maybe a year ago or so.
That's good.
Yeah, and it's like I didn't always think that I was going to stay very long, but now it's the longer I stay and the more friends I make, and the my reputation is better there than it used to be, and I get to do cool work.
Mm-hmm.
And it just gets better. The more time I put in, the better it is.
So would you agree with this thought, that as you spend more time in a certain location or in a certain position or relationship, you start to put down roots, and those roots, there's this tipping point where you're like, say it were you've reached so much of a relationship, right, in your life, and so much satisfaction, that for you to start all over, it's just like, it's not worth it. There's like no marginal utility, right? You're like, dude, like, but I have all this stuff that I love now. Why would I give that up? So then the more you stay in one place, the more inclined you are to continue staying in one place. If that makes sense.
I definitely agree with that. It's kind of like that Robert Frost poem, right? You take the road less traveled by, and you don't have to take the road less traveled by, but whatever path you take, you can't go back and take the other paths. Sometimes you can jump ship and go, switch careers or something, but you can only do that so many times. You have maybe 100 years, maybe 100, I don't know, maybe 120 years. You have a finite amount of time to
You're pretty
do
optimistic.
whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah.
I'm aiming for 150. No,
really?
No,
I'm aiming for
realistically, I think I probably have like 70, 80.
I'm aiming for 45.
45 from now or 45 from the start?
45 from the start.
That's not many, man. Was that 15 more?
I got 10 more, maybe. Yeah, 15 more years, 14 more years.
You have way more than 10 more. Pretty sure you do.
Let's see.
But you're right. Like I used to really like music. We all did. We would like write a lot of songs and sing a lot of stuff. And even now, I sometimes think about like, man, maybe I should just go. I kind of want to go try to do music.
Yeah.
But it's hard to justify that switch, right? I have now 7 or 8 years of experience in the field that I'm in, and switching to music, I have 0 years of experience in that field, right? It's a hard reset, and I'm not going to have as much impact as I am if I stay in this field. So yeah, like you can only reset so many times. You can't always jump back and do something new.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
I guess that's why Mom always told us, have that as a hobby. Right? Like,
I mean, I don't think that's necessarily good advice for everybody, but our parents did tell us to have that as a hobby for sure.
Yeah, imagine if Bruno's mom,
like, you have to.
Imagine if Bruno Mars's mom was like, that's a nice hobby, Bruno.
Yeah.
That would have sucked.
And it is like the kind of thing where, 100 people make no money and one person makes a ton of money.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of risk there, but if you're dead set on being an artist and you're willing to take those odds, I don't want to say that's wrong.
If you're dead set on being a podcaster and you're willing to take those odds.
That's right.
Start somewhere.
Yeah.
So what about for an
you know what?
Oh, go ahead.
For you, I'll say for you,
yeah.
if you could post consistently once a week for 2 years, like that's already crazy. I think that's like probably top 99% of podcasts, or top 1%. Sorry. Like,
That's
how
true.
many people post weekly for 2 years, right?
I don't know.
I think that's your hill,
Yeah, that
to get over
is.
the lump.
Yeah. And a lot of people have a personal life.
But I think that's strictly a disadvantage.
Yeah, totally.
No, I'm just joking. Having a personal life? No,
Yeah.
it's good to have a personal life.
So what about so for an engineer, what does it look like sticking to it? Like, and what are the odds for an engineer? Like, are you still as competitive as like movie stars for acting roles? Does it feel like that when you're like trying to get drafted for a big company like Amazon?
When you're applying to jobs, it can definitely feel like that. I think whenever I'm doing job hunts, I've applied for like over 100 jobs, and you land one. I landed one. Um, but some people are much better at applications. I'm probably pretty bad. Like, I'm super nerdy. I was honestly pretty good in my classes. I can do a lot of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't do good in interviews. I probably don't, I could probably write my resume better. I hate writing cover letters.
Yeah, I
I
hate
think
that
that
stuff
does me
too.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because basically,
So for me, yeah,
yeah, we grew up really sick of the BS. I think, right?
yeah, we're very to the chase. I'd say
Yep, to the chase.
to the chase. We're super concise. I don't know how to say
Yeah,
that.
like I mean, I think
Shortly
we're
and
able to be
shortly.
polite, but like we can definitely tell when somebody's just being a jerk, like and like trying to judge you for your exterior or your, I don't know, superficiality, right?
Yeah, and like sometimes people want flowery language, and it's not that I don't know. Like sometimes I like make jokes where we make like really flowery language, like we speak like Shakespeare over
Yeah,
dinner just for fun. But that's not what I want to do in a. I don't want to
in a
put that job
workplace.
that flowery. Yeah, I don't want that in my resume or in my cover
Yeah,
letter. It reflects on me personally, so
right.
I'm
Nobody
not
wants to.
doing it.
Yeah, nobody wants to work for a boss that makes them say like, "Sire,
Yeah,
the quarterly reports are ready." It's like,
yeah,
let me submit to your most excellence. You know,
yeah,
we just
yeah.
it's just
I
not.
found
Yeah, it's just not realistic.
it's not fun.
It's
Yeah,
not fun. Yeah,
not comfortable.
yeah.
I think I found that for me, I think all the jobs I've gotten actually have been meeting people in person and then
Yes,
kind of impressing them in person, like showing them what I'm
a
like in
magic trick or
person. Like,
something.
I don't look good on paper, I don't think. Yeah, exactly. Pull bunny out of a hat.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it can feel
that's
competitive.
true.
But like at the same time, engineering, um, it's not the kind of thing where one person wins and 100 lose. Like there's a lot of jobs out
Mm.
there for
So you
engineers.
can
Like
be
you
a
can pretty much
B-list
always find
engineer,
something.
right?
Yeah, exactly. You could be,
You can make it into the telenovela of engineering.
yeah,
The telenovela world, even if you don't hit, John Wick stardom.
exactly. Like
Keanu
it's
Reeves
pretty
stardom.
easy. If you have an engineering degree, it's pretty easy to get a job that pays like 60, 70,000 a year in California. I haven't applied to other states, but
60
I
or
haven't been
seventy
in other
thousand a
states very
year.
much. Yeah, I think
Shoot,
that's
man,
pretty.
I'm gonna quit my job and join you. Just kidding.
But it does take like 4 years of school or whatever.
Dang
Maybe
it,
2 years for you, maybe
I'm
because you
out.
did your
Never
G's.
mind then.
Yeah, so that's the commitment. That's the investment.
So, but I'm joking. But for young people like who are looking to get into engineering, is that something that they have to do? Like, do you have to put forth that work before you can qualify for this $60,000 job?
You don't have to, but it's very hard to get the job without it. Like,
Mm,
if you can convince someone to pay you, then you got it, right? That is really that's what work is.
right.
So
That's what work
uh,
is.
you convince them to pay you, then you've succeeded. But
Yeah.
probably they're gonna want to see a degree or a portfolio of work or some projects you did in your free time.
Right.
They're gonna want to see something to show that you can do the
It's
job.
kind of like Tinder, right? Like you can say I love hiking and taking or long walks in the rain. Not long walks. That's another side effect, an unfortunate side effect of being raised among multiple languages. We have this
Is that
glitch.
we're bad at English?
We're bad at English. So yeah, if you take long walks in the rain and you never post that on your Tinder or Instagram, now like all the dating prospects are going to be like, yeah, right. You don't really do that.
Is that what happens? So I've never been on Tinder, but I'm just imagining that you're going through Tinder and you see someone that says they take long walks in the rain, and you're like looking for a picture of them like
In
wet,
the
like
rain.
so,
Yeah, like the
and you're
hair.
like,
I want the
I'm
hair to be like
messaging them.
melting
Yeah.
hair stuck to their face.
At best, they took like a short walk with an
A
umbrella.
short walk with an umbrella. Yes. You're clearly not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But I mean, I honestly haven't. I think I used Tinder once or whatever those stupid apps are, and it didn't
Yeah, some
work.
online
And I
dating.
was like, okay, I'm done. What does he say
Yeah.
in Star Wars Jedi Knights? Um,
Just like the simulation.
no. He says something else. Obi-Wan Kenobi, when you're playing Star Wars Episode 2, remember what we played all the time as little kids? Battlefront.
He says like, though I am gone, I am with you
Yeah,
always.
I'm with you always. That's what I felt. I was like, all right, this is I'm
Uh,
with you always, people. But I'm not going on that stupid profile ever again.
it doesn't really make any sense in this context, I don't think, but
I don't know.
it is funny though.
It sounded better in my head.
Yeah.
So, and how about your beliefs? Because like we're getting toward sort of we've already been doing this for about 40 minutes, so I don't want to bore the listeners. Not that you're boring.
No, yeah, that's fair. We should wrap it
But I
up.
probably lost some viewers at that last comment with Obi-Wan.
With
Okay,
Obi-Wan.
this guy's stupid. It's like we are off. We are not listening to this podcast ever again.
Let me tell you, if you don't like random Obi-Wan quotes, you're at the wrong place.
That's true. Get off the internet,
So it's
people.
like-
Get off the internet.
the internet?
Yes. Obi-Wan is like a big important thing on the internet. Star Wars.
For some people, anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but okay, so beliefs. I'd say I believe there is a God. That's so actually that's probably a pretty fair place, like just full stop. I don't feel that I know much more than that. Or
Okay.
that I believe much more than that. We were super religious, like right, we were raised very Christian.
You were playing piano at the
Um,
Iranian Christmas worship nights 5 minutes before finding out you were playing piano. If that's not religious
yeah,
commitment,
that's true.
I don't know what is.
We did, dude. I forgot about that. We would lead
Yeah.
worship with like 10 minutes notice.
Dad would be like,
That was
"Hey,
actually
you're playing
that's
all the
gotta go on
songs
my
tonight,
resume.
and there's
That's
no
pretty
music
cool.
sheets." It's like
Yeah.
I don't know how you did that, but you pulled it off.
Or the wrong sheet music sometimes too.
Yeah, I was just like, Dad, I'm illiterate. I can't play music. Remember? Pick him.
I don't actually remember. You guys were good at guitar though. You totally could have done it.
Not then. I
Actually, you
didn't.
would have been better than me.
That was
No, you
before.
were-
That was before I even had touched a guitar.
What was it? I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, I might have been able to do like a maraca.
That's music.
Yep. Yeah.
Lead maraca. Maraca number 1.
Maraca number 1.
That's
Well, I was in a
right.
band in high school, man. Maraca number 1. That was my role.
I feel bad for whoever's maraca number 2.
Yes. You're already
Gotta be
that bad that they put you on
crushing
maracas,
blow.
and then they're like, you know what? You suck really bad.
Yeah, it's not even percussion. It's just maraca. That's all you get.
Yeah,
You don't get the
percussion.
other percussion.
Unless you're playing in a Latino, well, you don't have to be Latino. Now I sound prejudiced or
Like a
whatever.
mariachi
A
band?
mariachi band. Yeah. If you're in a
Somebody plays
mariachi band,
maraca.
all of a sudden you're good. You know
Is
what I
it?
mean?
If you play maraca? Is that I have
Yeah.
no idea.
Well, because like where else, where else are you
Somebody gotta play
competing? Like this is like the industry standard. It's like if you can't hold your own with maraca as a mariachi player, you are out, right? Because there's another
That's fair,
mariachi
yeah.
player out there waiting to take your position.
If they're including you solely for your maraca skills,
You're good.
man, you got doing some miracles with those maracas.
Yeah, man.
For sure.
This is not a maraca. This is a miracle. It's like, ah! This video is gonna be taken down. I'm so insensitive. It's like,
You have to do a lot of editing and post.
no, I'm not editing this. Dude, I identify as Latino. A lot of times I do. Like one
How
time,
do you do? What do you mean?
one time I was digging a ditch, right? I was in a hot sun here in Southern California, wearing a sombrero, right? And a bandana and blue jeans and a white t-shirt. So I look super Mexican, right? And I'm standing there digging a ditch and I see this older Mexican or Latino gentleman, I can't say, admiring me. He's looking up at me. He's like, man, one of our boys is working so hard. I'm so proud. And I didn't have the heart to tell him. I was just like, gracias, señor. Tenga buen día.
I do know when we used to go to Cardenas, it was like this grocery store next to our house, like a Mexican grocery store, basically.
Oh, yeah.
You would speak to them in Spanish, and they would always ask you where you were from.
Yeah.
And like on one hand, that means your accent wasn't good enough to pass as like
Mexican
like
or Californian, but maybe I
Yeah.
could have been from Argentina. I had a couple people who
Or
thought I
you
was
could
from
have been from
Argentina.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's pretty exciting,
It's kinda
actually,
funny.
because then you're like exotic, you know?
I guess. Yeah.
Or you're just stupid. They're like,
No,
hey,
yeah, your Spanish is really good though. It
this guy
is.
sounds special needs a little bit. Oh, now I'm definitely getting taken down. It's like,
Yeah.
yep, I just insulted everybody today.
Nah, you're
Whoops.
good.
But yeah. So that was your life. That's our life here in California. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were asking. Sorry, you were asking about religious beliefs. So I think I can elaborate a little bit more if we have time and if you're interested.
No, I'm not.
Um,
No, just kidding. Go ahead.
oh,
Yeah, of course.
end of that. No, but yeah. So we used to be super religious. I was like very Christian.
Mm.
We led like worship service together for sure. In fact, I was president of the Christian club in Hemet one
You
year.
traitor.
President, I think.
And now
Yeah. So, and the punchline is I'm like basically no longer Christian, right?
you were meant. What does it say? You were meant to destroy the Sith, not join them.
Yeah. You were like a brother to me.
You were like Anakin. Anakin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, what happened was basically, I was really into, oh my goodness, what's it even called? Apologetics. Defending your faith
Very good.
with
Yeah.
reason. Yeah. And you like learn all these different arguments for like to defend your faith with reason, right? Like,
Yeah.
here's one reason that we should believe the Bible is true, and here's another, and so on. And you like basically learn about the strengths of them, the weaknesses of them. And I had like some ones that were my favorites, and eventually I found out, oh, those, actually, like basically none of these hold up. They all have some weird flaw in them, but it's there.
Okay.
And like this crucial detail isn't true. So, I'm not going to use this again. I know it's false. I'm not even going to try to convince someone else because I'm just lying to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you find more and more of these, and somehow you always find that, oh, actually, wait, no, there's like this crucial flaw with these ones.
Yeah.
And eventually it was like I started to see the pattern. I was like, oh, wait a minute, all my arguments to defend my faith have like a flaw in them, right?
Right.
And there's also like good arguments the other way.
Yeah.
And so that convinced me that like, yeah, I actually don't think that I can say with confidence that the Bible is like, for example, a reliable source of historical information.
Yeah.
At least not as a whole, right? Maybe some aspects are, some parts are, but it's not like I don't feel that the Gospels are necessarily should be assumed to be conveying the truth. And that's pretty important if you're a Christian, right? You kind of have to believe that. That's
critical,
kind of the crux of the thing.
Foundational to your everything. I mean, like Paul says, if this isn't true and we die, we're screwed, basically. It's like, but he himself claimed to have seen Jesus on the road to Damascus. So I'm like, all right, you got to be pretty convinced to die for your faith and like get beaten up and stoned and stuff. So I'm pretty sure Paul saw Jesus. Yeah. So that's,
but
but
fair. I mean,
for people who,
that's one of the,
but you're right. Like for people who, are just like, they don't have that personal relationship with God, or they don't believe that. They're like, maybe the documents were tampered. Maybe this is bad information. Maybe this is bad data. For them, it's like, well, I don't trust you guys, because you've been lying to me, or you keep trying to pull one over on me with this weird, like, false apologetics, right?
Yeah, it's pretty important for them to be true.
Yeah.
Just as you're saying, yeah.
So would you chalk it up to bad research methods then? Like the people who were training you how to defend the faith of Christianity had flawed research methods, or did they have malevolent intent? Were they like trying to trick people into becoming Christians?
No, I don't think they have malevolent intent.
Okay, good.
I'd say there's probably two. Yeah, it's probably like two failings. One is people that are making arguments for apologetics.
We're not always the smartest.
Well, sometimes they don't understand the issue with the argument itself.
Okay.
Which is kind of a nice way to say that they're just missing something. But it's not that they're not the smartest. It's just that they just don't realize that, oh, this means it's not true, right? Like,
oh, okay, yeah, they're like circular reasoning and that kind of stuff, or correlation is not causation.
They're kind of lenient with their pet theory. They kind of forgive it for not matching the observed evidence, right? Which is, it kind of has to match the evidence, otherwise.
Yeah, as a scientist. Yeah.
So that's kind of the first failing, is people perpetuate bad arguments, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. Like, if I tell people enough times that something's true, I start believing it, and they start believing it, even if it's not true.
Yeah.
Very dangerous.
This is how you make pages show up on Wikipedia.
This is how you make pages up on Wikipedia. Yeah.
But
I think we've had a couple. I think we've had a few great presidents who are good at this too. If,
Yeah, yeah.
let's while we've insulted everyone else, we might as well insult some other people while we're at it.
Part of good public speaking is answering a different question than the one you were asked, which is like very close to lying, right? That's like,
I guess so. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, but okay. So that's kind of the one failing is that people perpetuate bad arguments.
Okay.
The other failing that I feel is there. This isn't like anybody's fault, but I think it's just that legitimately, it's very hard to make a good foolproof argument for why the Bible should be true. And that is like that's the thing that keeps me up at night, right? I don't care if people make bad arguments. I don't care so much, right? They're just wrong. That's okay. But if I can't convince myself the Bible's true, that's super important, right?
Okay.
Like that's enough for me to be like, oh well, I'm not convinced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't. This isn't a debating podcast. So I'm not trying to grill you or like debate you,
Mm-hmm.
but I do want to ask you this. Like what do you go to as a framework from which to move forward, like a boilerplate for life, basically? Because like for me, I view Christianity as a boilerplate. I'm like, all right, you need to have something to function in this world. Which one looks like it's most efficient and actually is probably true? And I'm like, Christianity, man. Like for me, I'm like, yeah, I believe it. But does that mean there's not other ways of trying to cope with life? No, like there's other people out there who are like, oh, I'm agnostic or I'm atheist or I'm Buddhist or Muslim, right? And they seem to be functioning, right? They just, I don't believe what they believe. But like for you, did you say, oh, I need to cling to some other moral code, or I have to have some other, source of strength outside myself? Like for me, that's one big reason for God is like, they say like there's a God-shaped hole inside of every man, right? And it's like, I know like my own weakness, I know my own failure, my own guilt and shame. I'm like, if it weren't for God, if it weren't for Jesus, I'd be toast. I'd be, I would not want to live in this world, right? So whether that's evidence for God or it's just evidence of my own weakness, right? It was my reasoning to be like, nope, I'm holding on to God. And for you, I would view, sometimes I view people who are agnostic or atheist as very strong people, because I'm like, I don't know how you can handle coping through the world without, this crutch. For me, people say, are using God a crutch? It's like, yeah, he's my crutch, he's my wheelchair, he's my life support system. It's like, well, him, I'd be dead. But for you, what is it that gives you strength?
Yeah, that's a good question. It can be easy to be discouraged, right? Especially when you're a Christian and you know there's eternity waiting for you. When you're in that state, it doesn't bug you so much when something doesn't go your way in life, right?
Yeah.
I no longer have that thing helping me along,
That
right?
confidence.
Like I think this is all I got. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least to some extent. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, something like that.
Well, you might
But yeah, so how
reincarnate
do
as
I
a
keep
butterfly.
motivated?
Maybe you'll reincarnate as a butterfly.
I mean, I don't believe in reincarnation, but I do believe in God. I just think there's some God. So maybe there's an afterlife of some sort. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you would
Oh,
think so.
but yeah,
I mean, sorry,
I mean that'd be nice.
I'm becoming
I
a
wouldn't
debater.
complain.
You continue. This is yours
Oh,
time.
okay.
To speak.
Oh yeah, but your question was kind of like I think it was like how do you get through life with that, right? With like the thought that death is eternal and there's no hope afterward. I think that's what you're asking, and I guess I'll say.
Well, also I'm
it's easy
asking just not even death, but like life itself. Life is pretty awful. It's like
Yeah, life can be awful too.
even
Yeah.
you're just trying to get to your death, but you can't get there because you're like you got to go through taxes, bad relationships, bad employers.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
life is brutal, man. Like for some people it's nice, but for I think 90% of the population, it's like you feel like that, that fish that we found in Turkey on vacation one time. We just kept throwing it up in the air and letting it splat on the ground, and its face kept getting more misshapen. It's like that's how it feels. Like you're like that fish that some punk kid just keep throwing up in the air 40 feet and then lands on the ground. And you're like, ow, again, So yeah, so like there's a pain in life and there's a pain in death, and you have to taste both of those as an atheist.
You have to be able. Yeah, I have to find some way of getting up in the morning, right? I don't think there's necessarily a foolproof way. For me, I think I'm generally like a pretty happy-go-lucky, optimistic person. Certainly, I'm still like sad. I listen to a lot of sad music.
That's good.
I don't know. In high school, I was very sad, but somehow I'd still say I'm happy-go-lucky. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense, but I think I have to celebrate the small wins. I take joy in the things that I can.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm really enjoying surfing, or like I like cooking, and there's certain foods I really like, and I make those foods.
Yeah.
And like, you'd be surprised by how little it takes to make a day worthwhile. Like cooking a meal I like and eating it for dinner is really great. Even on hard days, that makes me happy.
Right.
And yeah, and I think I don't know what everybody else does. You know, there's a song actually. What's her name? I don't remember her name. She's a great musician.
We'll
But
link
she
it
has
in.
a song.
We'll link it in the
Sure.
description. Yeah.
She has a song basically about this concept. And what did she say? It's something like I wish I could believe in like a god, but instead I will stand outside and I wish really hard on a Chinese satellite. Because she's
Oh, I heard that.
yeah.
I heard that lyric. I thought it was really
Yeah,
weird.
it's because she wants to believe there is something more, but she just doesn't. So what do? You can't force yourself to believe, right? Like you believe what you believe.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, she can just hope that there's something more, right?
Just hopes that there's something more.
Yeah. And that's not like, sometimes I feel like that, not always, but certainly other people do feel like that. Like this song is evidence of this kind of feeling, right? People that wish they were religious or wish they did believe in an afterlife.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I guess
Yeah.
because I
I
never
think it's also,
think of it that way. Yeah.
it's really interesting. Christianity in like Christian circles, generally belief is thought of as a choice, right?
Ah.
I think that is very distinct from the way a lot of agnostic people or atheist people believe or feel about belief.
Right.
That belief is what you yourself are convinced of. But can you choose what you're convinced of? You know, a lot of agnostic people and atheist people would, I hazard to guess, they would say that you don't get to choose what you believe. You just believe it or you don't.
Yeah. It's kind of like the man who is drowning. He can't just choose to believe he's not drowning.
Yeah. As much as you try to convince yourself, the best you can do is lie to yourself and say that you believe you're not drowning, right? Like, he won't really believe it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say that is necessarily the truth of life, but that's how a lot of people feel, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this was good, man. Definitely some darker undertones in this episode.
Yeah.
But I think these are real questions that people need to ask themselves. And if we continue as a society in the way we're going, which I don't think is a good way, where we keep just being obsessed with the small things that don't matter, like instead of the beautiful things. Like there's small things that do matter, like a good meal, like you said, or those little wins. And I think that we do need to focus on more of those and less of all this crap, right? Because even like social media, like being like, oh, I wish I was a famous podcaster, or oh, I wish I was like an Instagram model, right? Or a smart engineer like Elon Musk, right? It's like, or whatever. And he's got backlash now because he did some bad stuff, it sounds like. So I probably shouldn't have mentioned him either. But like all these household names, like I think people feel like they need to be a bit larger than life in order to get the most out of life. But they don't, do they? They don't have to be.
Yeah, definitely. You don't have to be a rock star to be happy, and a lot of the rock stars are not happy.
Yeah, it's very evident.
Just be happy every day.
Look at the rate of overdoses.
Yeah, and actually, I think it's a very conscious choice. I didn't used to think that happipness was a conscious choice, but the older I get, the more I think it is.
Yeah, and they also have very poor clothing selections. That's evidence of a person screaming inside
rock
for
stars?
hope.
Oh.
Yeah.
Depends on which one.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I guess some people think that of us. They're like, this person is clearly going through a lot.
Definitely do. Does that make us rock stars? Maybe we can.
Dude, we are. I feel like
You just said people don't have to be rock stars to be happy, and then immediately you're like, we're rock stars though.
Yeah. Well, I think rock stars in the sense of like, I don't care what everybody else is doing. I'm going to do what I know I need to do.
Yeah. That's also great. I think honestly there's so much we can talk about. I don't want to pull your audience for too long, but being happily independent, or being happy with your own decisions and your own ideas is also like really healthy, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we'll end on that. And thank you, Michael, for joining. I certainly hope to do more of these.
Yeah, thanks for hosting. This is so much fun. I feel like we usually have these sorts of, like, this is the same kind of thing we talk about when we just call each other.
Yeah.
And it's fun to have this actually recorded for
right.
future
For
us
posterity.
or for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe someone will
Yeah.
find our words of wisdom.
Hopefully, between all the goofballs stuff that we
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
hopefully we didn't like start another war.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's like, just send this up into the tube and see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, well, guys, this has been another episode of the OJ Podcast with my dear brother, Michael BAGHERPOUR. Thank you for joining us. And until next time, take care. All right, we're going to cut